going on, guys? You know, here we back with another video, man. Go ahead and get these videos out like it ain't nothing. Go ahead and react to Pushing 30 Ageism in Music. I don't even know what ageism is. Let me just do some research. What is ageism? I'm not a fast typer. Yes. Sounds like somebody. Granddaddy, relax on me. Ageism is the prejudice or discrimination against individuals primarily due to their age, often targeting older people, but also potentially affecting younger individuals. So, someone because of their okay. So you be like, you don't know what you're doing with the phone because you old. Okay, shit like that. Okay, type deal. All right, well, we can jump into the video.
Flyana Boss ran TikTok in 2023. Literally. You couldn't open the app in 2023 without hearing, "Hello Christ, I'm about to sin again," and then seeing these two rappers running towards the camera with the facial tracking and zoom. They quickly gained a following on both TikTok and Twitter. And it's not hard to see why. They were easy to root for. They were two young girls hustling on the internet. They were going viral with consistency in bars and a visual style that to a lot of people was new. The song in those videos, "You Wish," became a breakout hit for the duo, currently sitting at over 50 million streams on Spotify, and earning a remix with fellow viral female rapper Callie and the legend Missy Elliott. It got them a spot on tour opening for Janelle Monáe, and the only reason it didn't get them a record deal is because they didn't need one. They already had one. They had signed to Atlantic Records 2 years before the virality. It seemed like the sky was the limit for them in 2023. But like a lot of artists who go viral on the internet, maintaining that attention has been a challenge. Atlantic still hasn't let them put out an album. And while they've put out music that people who liked You Wish would probably also like, they've had trouble replicating the success of that first viral hit. Life has also been getting in the way. One of the members had a baby in 2024. All of that culminated in people recently asking on Twitter, "Hey, whatever happened to these girls?" And one of the most popular responses to that tweet provided an answer that you might not have predicted. It wasn't that replicating viral success is hard, or that one member went through a pregnancy and now has a baby, or that they still hadn't dropped their album because being signed to a label is complicated. It was that people found out they were 30. It got to the point where they actually had to log on and clap back and clarify that they weren't actually 30, and while their actual age is unclear, they're likely to be somewhere in their mid to late 20s. The discourse started after their virality because in an
That goes to show you, bro. That's how this day and age is, man. Y'all give me 1 second. Let me fix something. Alright, that's better, man. Look, anyway, like I said, I feel like, what was I saying before? Yeah, man, now these days, bro, it's easy to be called a fossil or somebody, or unk ass. Like, right now, I ain't gonna lie, I'm 26, so I'm damn near unk now. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I am an uncle for real, but they just, and you know, the people that's calling us unk be only like, well, they do be like 7, 8, 9, 10 years younger than us, but they ain't that far behind type shit. It's okay. We get called old kind of fast, even though we the ones starting the trend still. Basically, you see how they did that and it went viral. That and it was mid to late 20s. Come on now.
interview, they said they were in college listening to Ray Shremmerd. Me too, guys. To be fair, there are almost as many people on the internet defending them from the ageism as there are people making fun of them for it. But the discourse has left me fascinated with the concept of age in music. Something about that big three in the tens place seems to scare the hell out of a lot of people. And you don't have to tell me twice, I have about 8 months left of my 20s personally. And as someone who also makes music, maybe music that some people would call young music, this is a topic that, is pretty relevant to my life. Is there an expiration date on making a certain type of music? What?
I think it is, but I think the expiration date goes as far as your craft. I feel like if you stuck in one genre, it ain't even about necessarily the genre, but if you stuck in one time zone, things are meant to have cycles, you know what I'm saying? You have to change with the cycles. You have to know what's popping. And if you don't know what's popping, just get some inspiration. You know what I mean? You got to really dive into your craft. Reach in, dive deep type shit. So, shit, I feel like it's really more concerning that than it is, I don't know. It's not really about your age. It's about your craft. If you don't know what you're doing, or you can't keep up with the trends. I ain't even gonna say keep up with the trends, but you can't even create a trend or see how the modern day is going to be able to catch up to it. You know what I'm saying? I hope I make it sense, man.
If any aspects of music should be reserved for people who still can't rent a car on their own? Or is the playing field different depending on what you're known for and how long you've been known for? What about on the listener side? Once you hit 25, is it time for jazz? Is there no more room for youthful music? If I listen to Netspend, am I going to end up on a watch list? Or is it just as simple as good music is good music, no matter how old the creator or the listener is? Let's get into all that, but first, if you like videos on music like this one, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe. Being almost 30, I have about 8 months left to catch Anthony Fantano before they put me in a retirement home, so I've got a lot of work to do. But seriously, I post a video on music every week. If you want to see them early, you can go to my Instagram, Haji Gaviota, throw me a follow, and join my broadcast channel. I post all my videos in that broadcast channel one day early for free. Also wanted to say thanks to everyone who's checked out my song Walk You Home from my group Elmjack. We have another song coming this month, A Bother, featuring Just End, dropping on March 19th, so stay tuned, it's gonna be super fire. Alright, back to the video. We gotta start by acknowledging that the idea of what's old in entertainment and the idea of what's old in real life are totally different. If you live in a country in the Western world, your life expectancy is likely to be around 80 years. People who are, so to speak, pushing 30 are barely a third into their lifespan on average. But show up on Twitter or TikTok.
Yeah, I want to go back to that real quick. See what that chart say.
Old in entertainment and the idea of what's old in real life are totally different. If you live in a country...
So where we at out here? North America? So is North America over here? I don't even see us in her. Well, our life expectancy is to up to like what, 80 to 82 years, something like that. And the highest age expectancy is Japan. They can live up to 85, well 84 almost, 83, 84. So the average life expectancy for the most part overall from England to shit, what Japan will be from a fucking, what is this? 78, 80, 82, so 81. Everybody live to at least 80. 80 to motherfucking 85 is what everybody in the world tend to live to. So, okay, not too bad. And if you 30, like he said, you had about a third of that lifespan. You already getting called uncle, grandpa. That's fucked up.
Country in the Western world, your life expectancy is likely to be around 80 years. People who are, so to speak, pushing 30 are barely a third into their lifespan on average. But show up on Twitter or TikTok and say that you're 29, and certain people might invite you to the unction. Post that one video of the old Kevin Garnett Nets highlights, or ask if you remember them from Miss Ishtar's irrigation class back in ancient Mesopotamia. It creates this interesting dichotomy for an artist in their mid to late 20s. Because if they call themselves young around industry people or record label executives, they might get a scoff or a chuckle. But if they call themselves old around regular people, they're gonna get slapped upside the head. A pop singer named Lola Blanc acknowledged this in the first paragraph of a piece that she wrote for Vice back in 2015 called How Ageism Kills the Careers of Women in the Music Industry. There's a part of me that's terrified to write this. I'm a singer and a songwriter, and as a female who's not yet a household name, I can't help but feel the familiar, deep-seated fear that being open about this fact will lead to my professional demise. I'm fighting it. Here goes. I'm 27. In the article, Lola goes on to detail things that she's heard from managers and other people in the industry, like, you don't have a lot of time here, or you know you have a limited window of time, right? This article was written in 2015, and perhaps Lola today is celebrating the success of someone like Charli XCX, who had one of the biggest runs of any pop girl in 2024 with her Brat era, and she was 31 going on 32 for that. Perhaps things have shifted a bit since.
And that's what I'm trying to say, bro. It's like, I know right now everybody want to get on the A. I haven't really heard it personally in real life, so I can't really speak on that. But I feel like, for real, it, like I said, the older people, 30s and so, 28, 27, 20, late 20s, they be the ones created the creating the today trends. So it's like, can't say aunt or auntie or your grandpa or your grandma, if grandma, auntie, uncle, the ones you over here doing the same dance or the ones that you imitating, it's like you imitating us. So it's like shit. I think, but that goes back to what I was saying. It's not necessarily based off your age, but your craft. Now, does age play a factor? Yes, it does. But I don't feel like it play really a factor until you start looking the part. When you start getting bags under your eyes, when you start doing shit, you know, your body start to wither away, or you know, shit like that. Then I kind of get it. But outside of that, age just really ain't. As far as being hated for your age and feeling like you can't really do nothing because of your age, they ain't really got nothing to do up until a certain point. For me, that's 45. What y'all think?
It's 2015, thanks to the ageless power of the algorithm. And you know what? Lola herself put out her biggest song in 2019 when she would have been over the age of 30. Her song Angry 2 has over 80 million streams today. So good for her. The truth is, plenty of artists don't find their place in today's music industry until they're already past the age that the suits and the Twitter trolls alike would call young. Breaking through as a musician isn't like graduating high school, where everybody seems to do it mostly around the same age. Some artists like Justin Bieber break through at the age of 14. Others, like the late Charles Bradley, don't get their big break until they're in their 50s. And most artists fall somewhere in between those two. An artist's place in the industry in terms of their veteran status doesn't always align with how old they are. Here's a fun example. Soulja Boy's first hit, Crank That, came out in 2007. The first time anyone had heard of New York rapper Fabio Foreign was on the song Big Drip in 2019. You may be surprised to learn that Soulja Boy and Fabio Foreign were both born in 1990. It makes a little more sense when you think about it. Soulja Boy popped while he was only 16 years old, while Fabio grinded for years in New York before he caught some heat with the drill scene. But still, for an artist like Soulja Boy, he's had a full span of a career behind him, ranging from more commercial albums, big hits, weirder, underground internet stuff, video game consoles. Like, he's pretty much done it all. With Fabio, he just got out of his first major label deal, he's only dropped 2 or 3 projects, and now he seems to spend his time convincing us that he is the real Plaque Max. They're in totally different points of their careers, and it would make more sense to analyze them from a perspective that included the context of what they've done so far in their career rather than just being like, this guy is 35. Here's maybe a more directly comparable one. Tyler, the Creator, was born in 1991, and his tour mate and collaborator Tizo Touchdown was born in 1992. Tizo is considered to be a new artist, and he's somebody who broke out in that immediate post-pandemic era. Maybe it's the nails or the hair. What is it, the nails? Or his general youthful vibe and aesthetic? But a lot of people are surprised to learn that Tizo is a little bit older than they might have guessed. He and Tyler are almost the same age, and yet nobody would expect them to be delivering the same kind of thing right now. Tyler's first major label studio album was released in 2011, and his real breakout project, Bastard, came out in 2009. Tizo's first major label album came out in 2023. Tyler is playing with house money at this point in his career. He's at no risk of losing his established place in the music world. If anything, he's just trying to run up the score to make a better case to being like the Mount Rushmore of hip-hop artists of his era. Tizo, on the other hand, I'm assuming is working on his sophomore album, which is really a make-or-break moment for an artist. And he's still in the relatively early stages of telling us who he is, what he stands for, the life that he's lived so far. For Tyler, it's a lot different. People are going into his newer projects expecting him to be developing as a person and changing, and stuff that you might expect to hear from a 33-year-old. If he popped out making music like, I'm drinking every night, I started wearing less and going out more, people would be like, this is a midlife crisis, or maybe like a third life crisis, you know? I don't know if it would be perceived that way for Tizo Touchdown, whether that's fair or not. There are plenty of artists like Tizo where maybe it just takes a little bit longer for them to break through. And for those where it does happen a little bit later.
And that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes success don't find you until a little later in your career or a little later in life. Sometimes some people catch the ride. So it's kind of like, regardless of what stage of life you is, you gonna have your turn if you want it to be, if you want to get a turn. Some people gotta grind that out. Some people gonna shoot for the moon, man. It really just depends on how you think about it. Ain't gonna lie.
Later than usual, the age number can become a pretty big insecurity. A British artist named Paloma Faith, who had a big hit in 2014 with Only Love Can Hurt Like This, explicitly lied about her age in the beginning of her career, and she opened up about that in 2021. I always knew that my age was going to be an issue, especially as a female artist. I was 27 when I put my first record out, but I told my label I was 23. I looked quite young, so I could get away with it. I read a lot of articles about musicians at the time, and it seemed like every piece about KT Tunstall would imply that she was quite old, even though she was only 27. That really affected me, and I remember thinking, I want to be judged for my music, not my age. Not every late 20-something is treated equally. A lot can be controlled for image and marketing, The critique that we see about Flyana Boss isn't necessarily that they're pushing 30. It's that they're pushing 30 and making the music that they make, doing what they do in their videos, dressing how they dress. Is that a valid critique for Flyana Boss? To me, not really. I think the one thing that gets pointed out in their lyrics a lot is, I said I love you to that man, but I'm not feeling him. But is everyone in their mid-20s at their best in communication and relationships? Not really. Plenty of people are still playing games. I'm not condoning it, it's just a fact. I don't think it's super mature, but it seems pretty nitpicky to be like, they can't be 28 saying that. Image-wise, perhaps it's the elf ears and the colorful outfits that made people think they were younger than they actually were. And they look young, so I do get that. But I'm also not sure I'm following that fully either. Do elves die at the age of 19? Like, they don't make it to their 30s? I actually spent a good amount of time Googling elves for this video, and the ones in Lord of the Rings are actually immortal unless somebody like kills them, you know, like they're not going to die of old age. So there's no reason why there couldn't be like a 30-year-old elf rapping. You know what I'm saying? None of these things are inherently young. You might argue they're inherently fun, or carefree, or whimsical, or silly, or colorful. And perhaps all of those adjectives are associated with youth. And of course, there's a reason why people want to get in on that youthful energy. It's one of the most reliable selling tactics, not just in music, but in everything. For one, it's perceived to be relatable to the 18 to 25 demographic, who are so sought after by marketers and labels and the powers that be, because they're deemed to be the most impressionable, at least in terms of groups that have spending money. With the way old people are falling for AI slop on Facebook, I'm starting to question that logic, but I do see where they're coming from. There is an incentive for artists, both old and young, to appear youthful and zeitgeisty, because plain and simple, it sells. Some artists are...
I mean, but I just feel like the whole thing is youth sales, like overall. Nobody, the closer you are, when you look old, you look closer to death than you do when you look young. You look closer to be alive. So it's a whole psychology about it. You know what I'm saying? This video is kind of long, guys, so I ain't gonna watch this whole video, but if y'all do want a part 2, y'all gotta let me know and down in the comment section down below. But of course, this is it for this video, guys. So like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bells to get notified anytime I post a video like this one, man. And shit, road to 1,000. I'll see y'all in the next one.